What's up, you guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Real Debates. This is the show where we debate each other from pop culture to movies to characters. Whatever you can think of, we do it here on Real Debates. Now, normally I would be moderating, but this time I'll be going against Ian Elliott Carter from The Controversy. Last time we fought, he beat me, and I made a mistake of talking about his movie in the beginning of that match. By the way, if you guys don't remember, let's run the tape.
Okay, I've chose X-Men Days of Future Past is my favorite X-Men movie, not including Deadpool, not including Logan. His first stupid remark was, hey, nobody saw Days of Future Past. I did a quick Google search. Days of Future Past made $746 million.
It was a joke.
First Class, shut up. First Class made $353 million. So,
congratulations, you played yourself.
So,
ouch.
Obviously, people saw this movie. Jerk off, blended in.
Now we've ran the tape, and I've learned from that mistake. I won't do that again. I won't talk about this trash movie Joker like I did in the last match. But at the end of the day, we'll see what movie will win. But since I've talked already enough trash, Ian, how are you doing today?
I mean, I was having a bad day, but then you guys cheered me up, of course. This is therapy for me. I love doing these things right now. Alex, you're my friend, but today you are my enemy, all right? I lumped you with all the stupid people in the world today, and you're going down.
Awesome. And we have our amazing moderator, Jeremy from Movies Are Terrible. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
Man, all is right in the world. I'm back in the position of judging a couple of black men, so this is as it should be.
Kiss my ass, brotherfucker.
Dude, you are the funniest comedian on the planet right now. That was a good joke. All is well in the world. Hilarious.
I can't wait to put a funny clip behind that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. But yeah, so Jeremy's our moderator, and I'm going to pass it to him to take it away. So Jeremy, go ahead and take it away.
So the name of the game's the same. We're not changing things up too much, but we have done a slight revision to the rules. You'll pick up on it as we go. It should just streamline things. That's all. We're going to just take it all into 3 rounds at this point. So each round, as it's always been, is going to be 2 minutes long. The way that we're starting this off is in the first round, each competitor is going to introduce their pick and let me know why. Whatever the question is, and this week it is, what is the best not Batman movie in the DCEU or in the DC universe, period? They don't actually have to be connected to the rest of the overarching stories. And each of our competitors has brought a different answer. So the first round, I'm going to let them tell me why they chose it and what makes it the best movie that Warner Brothers DC has made. After that, we're going straight into the battle round. This round 2 is going to be specifically focused on why your opponent's choice isn't the correct answer. So first we're talking about what makes yours the best. Then we're talking about what makes theirs not the best. And then in the third round, we're going to let everybody tie things up. We're going to let you kind of get your rebuttals in, and we're going to judge accordingly at the end of that third round. So we're looking at about 6 minutes for each different competitor to lay out their case and what makes theirs the best. At the end, I'm going to do my deliberations, and I'm going to come to the conclusion of which of these arguments is better, right? I know how this goes. A lot of times you see the title and you say Wonder Woman or the Joker. Well, I like Wonder Woman better. So Wonder Woman's going to automatically win no matter what anybody says. But that's not what we're doing here. This is not really about which is better. This is about who's better at telling me why theirs is better. This is strictly about the case that is built. I'm leaving my own personal bias at the door because I think we all know that Green Lantern is actually the best DC movie. So,
oh, you crazy.
I am.
Taking
okay,
that
Jeremy's fired.
Taking that one off the table, I'm going to go ahead and randomly select a number between 1 and 20. And I'm going to allow my competitors to pick from those numbers now. Alex, it's your channel. I guess we'll let you pick first. What's your number between 1 and 20?
I'll go with 10.
Ian.
19.
The correct answer was 17, which means
Wow.
Ian is going to choose whether he wants to go first or second.
You know what? I usually be a gentleman and let the other person go, but I want to go first. It's all about me today.
Oh, we're bringing the heat early on. I love it. All right, let me go ahead and set a timer, and we will kick this thing off. I'm going to set it for 2 minutes here. Ian, are you ready to open these things up?
I am ready for this jelly.
All right. I don't think you're ready for this. All right, we'll go ahead and start. It's fine.
All right, cool.
In
So what?
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so when I was asked this question, which is the best DC movie, I was immediately thought of like stuff like Shazam, even Wonder Woman, and or like what was it, Man of Steel. I was thinking like in this universe, but then it was the broad question of a great DC movie, anything DC, and I thought about it. I was like, Joker is a great movie. It's so good. I don't even think about it as a comic book movie or like in this universe of DC. I just think of it as a great movie. That makes this on a different level. Because Wonder Woman, you think comic book movie. You think, oh, this is a great DC movie. Joker, you think this is a great movie. And it's inspired by amazing movies from Martin Scorsese as well, like Taxi Driver and what's it called? I'm sorry. The King of Comedy. Amazing movies that are timeless as well. Of course, you see a lot of these traits in this movie, but this is not only just a good comic book movie, but it's a good movie in general. You see this character is really relatable, especially somebody that goes through a lot of depression and anxiety and trying to figure out why the world is just unfair and stuff like that. So I like it. To me, it's more rewatchable as well, and I think that Joaquin Phoenix puts a lot of great in-depth character development into this character, because we all know the Joker. The Joker has different layers to him. We've seen it from Jack Nicholson. We've seen it from Jared Leto. We've seen it from Heath Ledger. But each Joker has a different, or each actor has a different interpretation of this Joker. And I think Joaquin Phoenix definitely showed that he put his footprint in it to make it very different and unique. And that's why I love it. It's not like it's trying to be something that, you know, everybody else is trying to do. And this is an untold story. It feels more original. Like I said, it's not as really original as in the movie because it's inspired by other ones, but it feels like a more original Joker interpretation than the other ones. And I can love and respect that, man. And this movie had my anxiety through the roof. Okay.
That's time. And a very good argument. Ian laying out why we live in a society. That is a good job. All right. So I've heard your first argument. I know your selection, and I think you've made some very compelling points about originality and about how this film stands on its own outside of the context of simply being a good comic book movie. I think those are valid and very well laid out points. Alex, are you ready to lay out your case?
Yes, I am.
All right. Then I'm going to give you 2 minutes in 3, 2, 1, and go.
So I chose Wonder Woman. Now, Wonder Woman is a part of the DCEU, but I can make the argument that this particular version of Wonder Woman is essentially its own movie. Yes, it references Bruce Wayne to a degree, but it's a slight reference. But in this movie, I call it a standalone because we see a woman who literally grows within her culture, with her people, to become a warrior from birth. She struggles, she overcomes, and she realizes her true power. The one thing I love about this story is that this is a movie that we saw for the first time, a woman and a superhero inspiring other women to be greater than what they are. Granted, yes, Wonder Woman is probably the most powerful female in the DC comics, but in this movie, she's humanized. Yes, she can fight. She's a true badass throughout this movie, but she also realizes that the very things that she believed in, that she was raised in, are not necessarily the right things of how to view humanity. She's taught early on that you can't trust man, but she trusts the man to fight a major war. I will go down the line of what that entails throughout the rest of this round, but we see a character brought up by gods, and she's being trained to fight as a god, to realize that a man helps humanize her and gives her a different perspective of what life truly is. So that is my choice, Wonder Woman. Great movie, a great standalone within the DCEU. I yield my time.
You got about 15 seconds left, and that was very well put, Alex. I noticed that you leaned in a little bit more to the actual arc of the character. You talked a bit about the story and how not only this is a strong message for female audiences, but also a little bit about how Trevor Noah, what's his name? Steve Trevor actually helped her kind of grow into the character that she becomes and is beloved. I think that's a really great point where Ian, you focused very heavily in on the performance of Joaquin Phoenix, which is amazing. I think, Alex, you were talking a little more specifically about the character of Wonder Woman. Not that one's better than the other, just a slightly different approach of tackling the same argument. So all of that taken into consideration, we're going to go ahead and move on to round number 2. In this round, as I laid up top, what we're going to do is we're not going to focus so heavily on our films. We're going to focus on the opponent's films. So, Alex, you're going to start first in this round, and I want you to tell me what makes Joker not the greatest movie in the DC universe. In 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, okay, so this movie is about a Joker is essentially about a mentally ill man who's being kicked around by essentially kids. You see him get beat up on a train. Stay down, freak. You see him get beat up while he's standing on a curb.
Come on, beat his ass up.
I mean, ultimately, he loses his shit and he thinks that he's in a relationship with Zazie Beetz. This movie, although tells a great story about how, you know, mental health is very real and you should deal with it and you shouldn't fuck with anybody. I get that. But I also don't understand how this man was able to pull off a murder and no one realized it. And he was able to get on live television and literally stand there and make jokes that didn't necessarily make any sense at all.
No, you cannot joke about that.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Oh, by the way, how can you imagine having sex with Zazie Beetz and not remember the fact that, you know, not even realize the fact that you didn't have sex with anyone? If I had sex with Zazie Beetz, I mean, if I had sex with Zazie Beetz, you know, I wouldn't just show up at her apartment and be like, "What's up?" and she didn't know who I am. I'm just saying.
Oh my God. What are you doing in here?
You know, so that kind of fucked with everyone. And also there wasn't a clear direction of that movie. And when I say that, at the end of the movie, it ends with, what's so funny? Oh, you wouldn't get it. It's a laughing, reoccurring joke that doesn't necessarily solidify what the Joker is supposed to be. Honestly, it's a great interpretation, but at the same time, I am not a huge fan of Joaquin Phoenix's Joker because it's literally about a man who loses his shit. You can put any title on it. It doesn't mean he should be adapting the Joker. This is an unknown character who doesn't know who his parents are, real parents, and he lets kids whoop his ass. I mean, really? I mean, seriously? And then you get fired for carrying a gun in a children's hospital. You idiot.
Time. All right. A lot of shade thrown at the Joker as a character, getting beat up by kids, delusional in his sexcapades. I get you, man. I see where you're coming from. You also said that you didn't feel like this was a very good interpretation of Joker specifically, but rather just kind of a more general story about a man's mental health deteriorating. You understand the purpose of it. Didn't need to be a Joker movie. I get where you're coming from. I think those are very good points. Ian, you got about 2 minutes to convince me why Wonder Woman ain't all that good. In 3, 2, 1, let's go.
All right, let me quick fact check him. He said, how did he get away with all this murder? The cops were literally at his door while he was dancing, and he ran to the studio, and the cops got their ass jumped at the studio because he had this character uprising with the other Jokers. I'm not going to dwell too much on that. I just wanted to point out that you're wrong. Damn! Okay, so I'm going to talk about how his movie is less better than mine. So I loved Wonder Woman in the beginning. I loved the introduction to. I think that Gal Gadot is perfect for that character. No Man's Land is an amazing moment. The reason I don't like the end of Wonder Woman because the ending falls so flat. Oh my God, one of the worst endings of a comic book movie. I hate it so much because it's actually a good movie. So for them to do this weird plot twist with Xerxes as the villain and come out of nowhere, and
I am not what you thought I was.
it's just I don't know. It wasn't leading to that. It just made no sense. It was random as hell. And then of course it just had the most bland superhero ending I've ever seen. And I was not a fan of that. And it hurts even more because it was actually a good movie. It's not like Batman vs Superman where the whole movie was stupid. You know, of course, the beginning and the ending is dumb. When you have an actual good beginning of a movie and it falls flat at the end, it's really disappointing. And you know, respect to the movie as well. It is great for women and women empowerment and showing. And props to DC for actually doing that route when Marvel didn't do it. But that doesn't make it a better movie. It's got to have a great beginning, a great middle, and a great end. And that ending fell flat. And they're bringing back Steve's character again in the second one with no explanation. You know, we haven't seen it yet, but like, come on.
That's
like,
not what we're talking about.
Let a character die. I'm talking about how your movie is less better than mine. And the shit does not connect. You know, it doesn't connect at all. It's kind of like what we talk about with Zack Snyder. He doesn't know how to tell a story.
Time. Zack Snyder does not know how to tell a story. That's a nice little uppercut to end the round with. All right, I see where you guys are coming from. Ian had a little bit more of an opportunity to actually rebut exactly what it was that you said, and that gave him an opportunity to step in and really hammer home the point that he made up at the top of this round. Don't worry, though, because you are also going to have a chance to rebut, Alex, here in round 3. So there have been points made, strong points on both sides. Ian's brought up some good points about the final act in Wonder Woman. Alex has brought in some valid points about what makes the adaptation of the Joker not necessarily feel like an adaptation of the Joker. This round, I want you guys to basically just clean it up, put a button on it. There's no specific thing that you have to follow, but if there's anything that hasn't been addressed, if there's something that a competitor said earlier in the round that that isn't sitting well with you, this is an opportunity to go in on them for that while also just kind of closing the deal about what makes your film the best. So in this last round, we started with Alex. This round, we're going to start with Ian. I'm resetting the clock to 2 minutes in 3, 2, 1, and action.
I do want to pinpoint something he said about how did he not know he was having sex with this person. So obviously he had mental issues, but like we're all men with relationships. Some of us are married, some of us are in heavy relationships. So I'm not going to say that we think about having sex with other girls because that would be wrong.
Man, let me tell you something, Roland. Black people don't want to see that shit.
But people in the comments, please let me know if you think about that all the time, if that's relatable to the Joker. I'd love to hear your comments on that because it seems like it's a very relatable subject. I do want to talk about how like this is better in pop culture. The dancing scene. You've seen that like redone multiple times, like in Vine or on TikTok. A lot of people wanted to redo those pictures to the point they literally travel to that area. The scene where he's at the talk show.
You're just like the rest of them. You don't know the first thing about me, pal.
Oh, holy crap, they've redone that many times, and they've memed that multiple times. It's an amazing, it gets my anxiety going every time I watch that, when he, spoiler alert, shoots Robert De Niro's character. It's insane. It really gets me going. And the ending part, which he is not a fan of, which I love, because it has this like direction of what is this movie? Where did it go? Did he imagine this? Did this actually happen? What about this movie was true and untrue? To me, that's very good storytelling because it leaves open the imagination of the mind. As a movie fan, I love to have these conspiracy theories of what actually happened, what didn't, and stuff like that. So I think that's actually really good when it comes to following a great story. His story as well, it falls flat. It really does. I can't hammer that in as many times as I can. I don't even know like what the motivation for his villain was. Like, what was his point? He was gonna take over the world again. Whoa, what did he do? Mine's more general. Mine is more centered in Gotham. This is a guy just like going through mental health problems, and he's just been kicked down multiple times. Didn't want to fight. Why did he beat up the kids? Well, because he's an adult. He didn't want to get a fucking a harassment charge against children. That's obviously what he did.
Time.
Right there. Okay, I had more to say, but damn.
Oh,
You gotta go with the timer. All
I
right,
know.
guys, we got 2 minutes left, Alex, to wrap this thing up. You've heard a little bit about what Ian had to say about your film. I'm sure you got a couple things left to say about how Joker fucks. Let's go ahead and get into this.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and get into this in 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
So I think in the last round, Ian said my villain's name was Xerxes or something like that. Well,
Very forgettable villain.
His last name is, his real name is actually Ares. That's number one. And also, by the way, you said that my movie story falls flat. And you also said that the Joker didn't want to commit any child abuse. He shot kids and killed them. Those guys were like, they weren't.
That.
I mean, he shot them. That was part of the scene.
The kids though?
So, but it didn't. I mean, they were under the age of 20, so they got shot. They're kids.
Were they?
So anyway, by the way, your character is more concerned about people hurting his feelings. My character took down a whole army by herself. She didn't need anybody. She didn't need no damn help. At the end of the day, this movie, Wonder Woman, sets up a precedents that everyone can look up to a woman who can handle her own shit. And every woman, whether you're white, black, Hispanic, Cuban, it doesn't matter. You can identify with the fact of owning your own shit, and you don't need a group of people or a person to help you. This movie transcends all ages. Yes, the Joker is very relatable because there are plenty of people who deal with mental issues. And I know for a fact for me, and I'm sure everyone else on this panel has dealt with some form of mental issues. But like I stated before in the last round, this movie could have been called anything. I don't consider Joker a comic book movie because he took the identity of a clown. It could have been called Clown. It still would have been the same movie. It still would have been the same premise. It still would have been the same everything. So adapting the name Joker doesn't make any sense to me because at the end of the day, that's not what this movie is. It's about a man who's going through some shit.
That's it. All right, guys.
Poor Joker with no superpowers. Oh, that makes him a bad character.
Hey.
Doesn't make him a great character.
Why not shutting the fuck up? I am not taking anything that Ian said after the shot clock into consideration. You guys both bring up very good points all the way through this round or through this entire game. I really feel like both of you keyed in on different elements about what even defines the best, right? Alex, you talked a lot about the aspirational elements of Wonder Woman. Why she is an aspirational character, somebody that we should look to. Ian, I think you brought up some good points about how Joker reflects some of the darker sides of society. He's more of a cautionary tale. This is more of a movie about the dangers of not nurturing that thing, of a little kid not having the superheroes to look up to or whatnot. So I feel like fundamentally, these are two very different arguments. One is about the kind of uplifting potential message. One's about the kind of cautionary tale that I just now mentioned. As far as breaking down the rounds, when I look at this in round one, I feel like both of you made pretty strong arguments. Ian, you brought up good points about Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I think at the end of the day, there is not anybody except for Alex that can question whether or not Joaquin Phoenix's performance was fantastic in the movie. It was exceptional. To that point, Alex, I think you bring up some really good points about this not necessarily being the quintessential Joker movie. We'll move into that. So in round number one, looking at both of what you guys said, I liked Alex's setup. I liked the fact that you kind of painted a picture about the story, about the character, and about the impact. You touched on 3 key things in that first round that I thought did a really good job of selling me as to why you chose Wonder Woman. Moving into round number 2. So the first round goes to Alex, hands down. Moving into round number 2, when we started to kind of push back and look at the other side of it. Alex, you got real stuck on the delusions about Zazie Beetz. That was such a small part of that story to me. I don't know. Ian, you got really hung up on the third act of Wonder Woman without really telling me what it was about the third act where it fell apart. Alex, I'm glad you fact-checked it, man. I knew it was Ares. I was waiting for my deliberations to be like, it's not Xerxes, but it. Ian made a good point. It's kind of forgettable.
That was my point. Like, flippity floppity flu, whatever the fuck his name was. Shit.
Okay, Frank.
It really.
I wasn't defending him. Who gives a shit?
It really comes down to these really 2 different preference things, though, right? So, like, is the third act weak and make it all fall apart, or does this idea that like Joker wasn't portrayed in the way that it was a direct adaptation? To me, I feel like Ian had the stronger point as far as the film, as far as the structure. What is the narrative? Because as far as the personal opinion about what's the better adaptation, it's a totally separate conversation than what we're having now. We're strictly talking about best movies. Ian, I feel like round 2 goes to you. I feel like you made good points there. All right. So that brings us to the third round, and we are all tied up at this point. We are 1-1. The third round was the rebuttal round. Both of you guys, again, you reinforced many of the points that you made leading up to that. Alex, again, you talked a lot about, the cultural significance and the importance. Ian, you talked a lot about the mental health. You talked a lot about, the world of Gotham within this narrative. You also, earlier on talked about some of the influences of the movie. I feel like as far as the technical side of the discussion, you were hitting on a lot of the beats that I wanted to hear about. Alex, you hit on beats that I hadn't really thought about in the context that you did. And I think both of you guys did really good jobs. Alex, you called him on his misspeaking of the name, just like he called you on the fact checking from the previous round. So unfortunately, that was a little bit of a wash. I wish that you guys would have really hammered home some of the scenes that you brought up very briefly. Alex, that No Man's Land scene, dude, holy crap. You mentioned it. You mentioned it. You said she took out an entire army, and she did. But again, this isn't who would win in a fight. You know, like,
obviously I would lose.
you brought up the third, the very end of Joker and that scene at the talk show, which was fantastic. You talked about the iconic nature of it, how it is memeable, which I think kind of adds to the cultural context of it, and how influential of a movie it was. As far as my personal preference, I'll wait till the end. I'll let you guys know who I thought won first. And this is difficult. Looking at everything collectively.
1 hour later.
It's tough, man. It's tough.
Several bad puns later.
That's what I was thinking.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
I think I'm going to go with Alex today.
Oh, I finally beat Ian.
I think I'm going to go with Alex today. Just by a hair. Alex, you got real hung up on Joker beating up kids and having sex with Zazie Beetz. It's fine. Ian, you made good points. I wish you would have got just a little more specific. It probably speaks more to my style of judging. That's really, at the end of the day, we all look at this a little bit differently. I think these were both very well constructed arguments, and Alex beat you out by just a hair. That's my take on it. Now, can I separate myself from it and say which I think is a better movie? So yeah, personal preference, Joker's a better movie. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. I think Wonder Woman's fantastic. There's lots to like about Wonder Woman. I couldn't agree with Ian more. It's 2/3 of a really strong movie with a dress-up scene in the middle of it, very rom-com-y, and then the end is It's kind of trash. Very similar to BVS, as you said, Ian. It's kind of the same ending again. But that said, I feel like Alex did a very good job laying out his entire overarching themes in the first round. And I feel like while you came back and made some very, very good points, I would have just liked to hear you hammer the specific reasons of why it was that it fell apart at the end. I feel like Alex was able to go in and even if everything he said didn't check out, the point is he was able to kind of go in on it and find a couple of points to hit the Joker with. And so
in debates, what does it matter if the facts are right or not? You know, we see that in real life.
Correct. We're playing through emotions here, baby.
Exactly.
I like judging. I like moderating. I hate to see the disappointment on my friends' faces. And either way, somebody was going to be a little bit bummed out about it. I think you both did an excellent job.
He got me. I think I deserve this loss. I think you're right. I didn't hammer it as well as I should have. I think he did win this one. I'll never forgive you for the old guard one though. That was still some bullshit. But I will accept this defeat.
All right, good. And I'm sure we'll be doing this again very, very soon.
Definitely. So if before I state like what's going to come up next, I want to say though, guys, Ian is a very formidable opponent. And when we do these matches, we do prepare beforehand. But I'm not going to lie to you. Joker is my favorite DC movie.
Oh.
DC movie. Like, it's because it's a lot of the things that you named, but it's the emotional aspect of it. Because when you take someone who has been, adopted, doesn't really know his parents, his mom is sick, and all he wants to do is spread joy in a very odd way. And everyone is shitting on him for no reason, just because he's different. Mm-hmm. And I love that how they articulate it. Now, I do stand with the point, though. They could have called this movie something completely different.
That's a good point. It is.
And it would have never been Joker. But I love where they were going with it. And I think Ian is a very formidable opponent. I'm not going to lie. That third round, that all came out of my ass. Yeah. So I and I watched both of the movies, but still, I had to come up with something. But I want to thank you guys for definitely being on the show. I want to see if next week, if we can have the final tiebreaker between Ian and Jeremy. Last time they did Jim Carrey versus Jim Carrey. Oh my God. And I'm gonna allow them to pick whatever they want to do. So Ian and Jeremy will be going at it. They're going to be choosing their topics. I can't wait to see what that was. If you saw last week's debate where Ian went against Reggie, although he's a formidable opponent, he tried to defend. He tried to defend Electro. Bro, you lost. You lost. I'm sorry. I love you, my G, but you lost, and Ian killed you. He killed you. And mind you, I would like to say both of those movies are very trash. Both of them. I hate Spider-Man 3 the worst. But Ian killed you, and this is the reason why I wanted to go against Ian, because I wanted to see if I could redeem myself. And no,
you're definitely way bigger, worthy opponent than Reggie. I love my dog to death. But, I mean, we can't talk too much shit about Reggie because he did destroy Jeremy.
He did. Not sure how that works out, but it's fine.
Fine. But I want to thank you guys so much for being on the show. Before we sign off, Ian, where can we find you on social media and YouTube?
You can't. I'm hiding. Okay, I don't want to talk to none of y'all. I'm just kidding. I_controversy on Twitter and Instagram, and check out my YouTube channel, youtube.com/thecontroversy, where we do a live stream every Wednesday night at 8:30, 7:30 Central, and we talk movies, television, all type of pop culture.
Awesome. And Jeremy, where can we find you on social media and YouTube as well?
Dude, I'm on your YouTube channel right now, and I see your banner up top. That's awesome. You got like a schedule broken down with graphics for everything. I love it.
Awesome.
Dope.
Thanks.
Yeah, most definitely. Check out Movies Are Terrible on YouTube. That's the most important thing. I'm kind of in a social media blackout for now as well. We'll get back in touch with you after the next video, see how things are going.
Yeah, I know we do these shows pre-recorded, but right now, at least, and probably when this episode comes out, I will probably still be on social media blackout.
Yeah.
Regardless of how this world works in the next coming days. But I want to thank you guys so much for watching this amazing episode of Real Debates. Please like, comment, subscribe. And guys, I have a huge favor to ask you guys. I am almost at 3,000 subscribers. My goal for the end of this year is to hit that number. If you can, go please like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video out. I love the community that we have built up. I love you guys that keep coming back and just, having fun with the debates and just how you guys give me so many different ideas. You guys are so amazing. So I would love for you guys to do that for me as we get further along. Season 1 is wrapping up. Almost two more episodes left in this season. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go follow Jeremy and Ian as well. They're doing some great things on their channels as well. Check out the most recent Terrible Movie Trivia episode. I didn't know I was that knowledgeable, even though I lost. But I was like, wow, like we did James Bond, and it just started coming to me. I don't know.
You kind of killed it, man. You kind of killed it. It didn't go exactly your way, but it almost did.
Yeah, and I was just like, wow, like it's been a minute since I've seen any of these movies, but yeah, it was an amazing episode. Had so much fun. Rest in peace, Mr. Sean Connery. And thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, you have a blessed day.